Hey, hi. Good morning, everyone. Today in this video, I'll be explaining you about the client-side rendering and server-side rendering. What is the difference between them? Many of you heard this word if you are a web developer, and for sure you'll heard this word a lot. So what happens is, in client-side rendering, your browser is responsible for loading your web page. So what is the meaning of this? Let's understand this. How browser will load your, entire web page. So let's say this is your browser, and here you enter some URL, and this is a web page URL, and this web page is purely client-side rendered. Let's say you have used React, and React is also in React also you use purely client-side rendering logic. You don't have any server action or server-side logic concept. Now you have used React. So whenever you enter this URL, it will go back to your server. Let's say this is not an exactly a server, but I'll come to that point later on this video. So you will request this, when you enter a URL over here, it will request to your some server. This will be hosted on, let's say, some, data center. Now it will give back to you the index.html file. Now this index.html file, which it will give you, is entirely empty. This don't have any content. After this, I'll show you also in this React application. See, I have created a simple read application, and the first request which goes and gives back you this response. And here in this response, if you can see, this root is entirely empty. If you don't know what is the root in React application, you render everything inside the root, and this is this is the logic for that. Inside root, you're rendering everything. If you know React, then inside app, we wrote all of our components. So everything is inside app, and that app is inside our root element. So if you can see here, my root is entirely empty. But if you see the web page, you can see this Vite React, this edit source. So from where it is coming, right? That is the question. If my index.html is entirely empty, then how we are getting this text and all, this state and all, right? If we don't have anything in the index.html. And for that, what happens is the next request, if you'll see here, we have one script tag. So the next request which goes is nothing but this JavaScript key request. So this JavaScript request will go, and this JavaScript basically loads your file. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is the next request which goes back to your server will give back to you the JavaScript file, right? Now you have the JavaScript file, and at the same time, the CSS request will also again give back to you the CSS file, right? So what happens is you have the JavaScript file, and your HTML is entirely empty. We don't have anything over here, right? Any content. So what happens is inside this JavaScript file, you have a bunch of create element. Let's say div, and inside div, you will replace the content with Vite React. So you're getting my point. Now you will use the create element to create an element inside the HTML, and then after that you will append inside document.body dot append child, and you will append this create element inside this document, and in this way you will be able to see the entire web page. So what is happening over here? Once the JavaScript file is executed, this entire code will be executed, and it will manipulate your DOM, and you will be able to see the entire web page. And who's doing this? Your browser is doing this. Your browser is getting the JavaScript file from the server, and your browser is loading, executing these JavaScript files. After that, only you are able to see your web page. So this is client-side rendering. What happens in case of server-side rendering? Let's see that also. So in case of server-side rendering, let's say this is your web page, and the website which you are requesting is nothing but server rendered. So you will enter your URL over here. Once this URL you will enter, it will go to the server, which is hosted in some data center. And now this server will directly give you back the HTML file rather than empty index.html file. I mean, this HTML file will have all the content over here. Let's say this also. If you'll see this React application, I'll show you. sorry, this is the next application, and here I am doing the server side rendering. So what happens is, I'll clear this. I'll again request it. Request it. Okay, so in the local host, if you will be able to see the first HTML which is coming from the server is has this content, right? The first HTML has this content. If you'll see, get started by editing this next.js about कहाँ गया? Where's the next.js? Somewhere over here only it will be there. Let's see. Okay, you're getting my point, no? Like I'm not able to see over here, but you're getting the save and see your changes instantly. This text is also there. So all the text, the first HTML only have this text. So what is happening over here is that the you request your server and your server is giving you the complete HTML file. Now, here we have the hydration concept, but it is, slightly advanced concept. So we are not going into that. So that is the main difference between the client side and server side rendering. So why people use server side rendering, even though we have client side rendering? So what is the reason? So the main reason we use server side rendering is for SEO purpose. If you don't know SEO full form is search engine optimization. Basically, based on this SEO score, your website is ranked on the Google. Let's say you search some website, top coding channel. So here you will be having a lot of website based on this niche. If you'll see over here, here we have paginated our result. No? So which website comes the first page in first page also on the top, which website will come, that is determined by your SEO score. So how you improve your SEO score? So how basically Google rank your website, that thing you have to understand first. So what happens is Google has some bots or crawlers, you can say. So these crawlers, what they do is they will, ping your website, they will request your website, and the first HTML which is coming from the server, that they extract the content from that first HTML only, and they will, extract the content. They will, put in some database and do their, own kind of stuff, right? So based on this keyword only, they are able to rank your website. So the more keywords your index.html have, the first rendering of that, the more, the higher the rank of your website will be in SEO. So that is what happens. If you'll see the first HTML which is coming from, this client side rendering application is nothing but empty, entirely empty. So crawlers won't be able to find any keywords. So how they will be able to know कि भाई your website is related to these news, right? If your index.html is entirely empty, then how anyone knows कि भाई where is your website? What is the niche of your website? What this website does? We don't know anything, right? But in case of server-side rendering, the first HTML which get back to you has some content, right? Let's say here on the, on the page only you have top 10 coding articles SR, you have this sort of headings already there in the first HTML only. So in this way, the crawler will rank your website betterly because they are getting the keywords. So this is the reason why we use server-side rendering. And yeah, that is the main difference between the client-side rendering and the server-side rendering. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. See ya. Have a good day. Bye.